there's both. Trust.
Oh, we're live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hell.
No, we are. Q, do you not want to elaborate on the alligators and the allergies?
The allegations of the alligators.
I
Can't elaborate
I
'cause they're
thought
the
that was
same
pretty
thing.
self-evident. It's Florida, where we have a lot of alligators. They just kind of walk, or tiny alligators, aka iguanas, that will drop from the trees when it starts to get cold.
Tiny alligators.
I don't think those are the same creature.
Tiny alligators. They're not, but it is funny if you lump them in together. Also, we have allergies because it is constantly not any other season. So these but here, like, hey, what if we did the pollen all of the time? Can't confirm. Do not care for it. 0 out of 10. Would not recommend. But yeah, no, they're both bad for you, really. And while I know many of our friends are like, oh, look, it's just a scaly pupper. It's not. Don't touch the alligators. Leave them alone.
Hey, Q, which friends? Just so I can, make sure they never get near an alligator.
I think we know. I think we know.
Are you accusing Wrath?
I
feel
would
like
never.
they are not here to defend themselves.
Not really an accusation, is it?
I would never do such a thing.
They didn't defend themselves. They are here. So.
So, there we go.
Yep.
See? Okay, confirmed. Tiny alligators. Thank you. Thank you, Raph. I appreciate it.
Do I do the intro for this one, or do you?
I can do the intro.
Okay.
If I remember, now I'm the one who's like, I have never done this a day in my life, but I think I probably remember it. It's just been 3 years, 6 weeks. I don't know.
What is time?
What is time, truly?
Great question.
Anyways, hi everyone. Great to see some of the second table hanging out in chat tonight. I am excited for you to see how things unfold and what chaos we get up to and what slanderous things are said about people. But I'm sure it's fine. This is all about drama, so we're gonna have an exciting time together tonight, and I, for one, am very excited. We are live from the apocalypse. This is a season of Secrets and Shadows. Well, a second season of Secrets and Shadows. But before we dive into that, LFTA is a not-for-profit TTRPG studio that raises money for aid organizations and progressive causes. At any point during the stream, you can click the donate button where you would usually find the subscribe button, and at that point, you will primarily distract Will because the McElroy brothers will yell at him and derail whatever he is doing in that moment because he is so graciously running tech tonight. We are currently raising money for Rainbow Railroad. They are an organization that help LGBT people and especially currently trans people get out of unsafe living environments into safer ones. We are currently fundraising for the Canadian branch, so any money you put in is probably going to look weird because the conversion rate changes it. However, the conversion rate works in our favor right now, I think, unless that has changed in the last few days. So when you donate money, even more goes into the pot, and that is a wonderful thing to be doing. I do not have any incentives for this game. Maybe one day that'll change. I just usually say the more you donate, the more chaotic things are going to happen. So, it's a win-win situation. If you are on mobile, you can click !donate since you will not be able to find the donate button in the usual place. You can also dig for the subscribe button. We cannot turn that feature off, unfortunately, but we would rather the money go to Rainbow Railroad directly rather than a bunch of it go to Jeff Bezos. If you find the subscribe button, maybe you have an Amazon Prime subscription and can throw that our way, you can do that, but be warned, and especially for this game, Brennan Lee Mulligan will kill one dog for every month you have been subscribed. So you do that, and well, there aren't a lot of DeVilliers left, so tragedy could unfold pretty quickly. Make your choice if you can live with yourself and sleep at night. If you cannot, just donate money to Rainbow Railroad, and everyone will be much happier. I think that's all of the housekeeping stuff, which means I get to have our lovely cast introduce themselves, their characters, and remind us what playbook they are currently using for their character. And we are going to start with you, Amber.
What? Huh? Oh fuck. Oh yeah. Hi everybody. I'm in a new location and I'm totally off my game. Hi everybody, I'm Amber, also known as the Space Jamber. I am a 3-time Emmy-nominated TTRPG writer, editor, podcaster, and streamer. My pronouns are they, she, and tonight I'm playing Astrid Primer, the Holdra, very different from season 1. Astrid's pronouns are they, she as well. Astrid is in her big titty goth GF era.
We love that for them so much.
To Dorian's benefit.
Will, that means you are up next.
Will, you're super muted.
I tried to tell you that you were muted, but I was muted, so mutedception.
I sure was. That's very funny because I said, and we love that for them. And then JD said, and we love that for them in response to the Big Titty Goth Girlfriend era. And I was like, cool. Yeah, I'm not muted because we said the same thing. Hi, my name is Will. I'm one of the storytellers here live from the apocalypse, and I run a bunch of stuff, other stuff outside of this. But tonight I am playing the best worst girl, Miss Abigail Donatelli, who is, as of recently, the Devil playbook. And maybe more of that will come into play tonight. We shall see.
That is very ominous for a Friday the 13th. JT, you are up next.
Oh my goodness. Hello. I'm JT. You can find me all over the internet at Weebjeet. My pronouns are they, them. Tonight, I will be playing Lady Octavia Frostpin, Scion of the Winter Court. She is still a fae, and she's not a bad person, I don't think, usually. But Abigail's around, so, up in the air.
I bring out the best in people.
Yeah.
Listen, Abigail wasn't there when you ran out with a sword ready to commit regicide.
You told me something was going to happen. I have to be prepared.
Let Octavia commit regicide.
It's true.
Fuck you, Jeff.
Season 1.
Want what the people want.
Season 1, Octa said fuck. Season 2, Octa's committing regicide.
We're escalating. We're escalating just a little bit.
Yeah, it's the flow. I see it.
I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
We're on. All of our characters are on such amazing arcs.
We're on a journey together.
We definitely are. And speaking of those arcs, Q.
Hi, I'm Q. Just out here on the interneting. Tonight I'm playing Mr. Dorian Black, who was in first book, but now the Angel playbook in a strange twist of fate, which I'm sure we probably won't have time to get into. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, I don't see how that could be relevant.
I don't think it's going to come up.
Not.
No. Definitely not at all. All right.
Your turn.
You monster. Hi, I am JD. I am one of the storytellers and players over here at Live from the Apocalypse, and tonight I will be playing everyone else. And so I think, with that, why not just dive right in? So it is Friday the 13th, and things might get a little spooky to start off with. Don't worry, not like full-fledged horror movie spooky, but the Autumn Court is now in town. So we're going to see what effect that has on things. And so, with that, we begin in darkness. And that is not where we usually begin. We usually see the city of London spread out, certain places, primary locations. Not tonight. Tonight, we just let the blackness envelop us. And we listen to the low, unearthly howl rising in the dark. And as it reaches a truly unsettling pitch, we realize it for what it is, because it's nothing more than the wind. The wind that has been winding its way through the city for days now, ever since the Autumn Court took their rightful place at the Fey residence and brought about the proper change of the season. It is a wind that carries the crisp bite of fall, the scent of bonfires and hay, and beneath all of that, it brings the start of decay as the leaves drift to the ground and become part of the earth below. The influence of the Autumn Court on the City of London has been mixed and confusing, and we know this. So many hoped that the exchange of power, which should have happened long before now, that at that point the balance would be restored, and everyone, even mortals, can feel that something has changed, something is closer to being in alignment. But that does not mean it has not come with other costs. The bite of winter remains, now just on the outskirts. And it's hard to say, perhaps it's just the presence of the Autumn Court themselves, but everything feels just a little unsettled. And maybe, just maybe, we understand that a bit as we move through the darkness, stepping out and towards a flickering light. As a line of torches lead the way through the woods to the Fey residence, and they guide us forward. There is enough light to illuminate the blanket of red and orange and gold leaves crunching beneath our feet. And even though the shadows move on all sides, we know we are safe here in the pocket of illumination that the torches provide. And we can see in the light of the torches and other flames lit and a bonfire in the middle of the front yard that the Fey residence has changed along with the changing of the season. The gardens are still lush, with a reminder to us that plenty of flowers blossom in the fall. There are chrysanthemums, asters, dahlias, even roses, but they all fit that red, orange, and gold color schema. Even the ivy that still drapes the walls of the townhouse is red, and the berries glisten like drops of blood. Despite the amount of light outside and the amount of color, the inside is dark and dim. We cannot see anything beyond some of the glass windows. And that is why it is jarring when a match is struck and a burst of light appears on the upper balcony, which we move up towards. We join the individual standing there, awash in shadow, and watch as a hand carefully presses the match to a candle resting on the railing of the balcony. We see golden hair glinting in the firelight, and then the gray eyes of Sorrel, the scion of the Autumn Court, who stands there alone, gazing out at the torches, leading their way out of the woods into the townhouse that they stand on the balcony of, as they look out to the road that attaches the townhome to the rest of London, where a series of carved gourds light the way, each with a candle inside of them. Some of those candles have gone out, and as Sorrel notices, they frown, because that's not supposed to happen. Not here. Not now. Not with the source of the light and those who wield it. They bridge their fingers together and in several smooth movements create a series of shapes. And despite the fact that there is a long distance between them and those pumpkins that are no longer lit, the candles inside reignite and the darkness is kept at bay for just a little bit longer. Then there is a movement behind Sorrel, just a flicker of something moving in the darkness, and we all feel our hearts skip a beat as we wonder what is about to happen. But while the figure that steps out of the shadowed alcove is unsettling, with dark hair and pale skin, and flecks of blood perpetually on her face, Sorrel is unconcerned because this is their personal bodyguard, Briar, and they knew she was there all along. She says, "Penny for your thoughts?" And Sorrel laughs a bit and says, "Currency is meaningless here." Briar nods and asks, "Then shall I leave you to your brooding?" "I don't brood. It's against everything I stand for." And Briar takes that in and lets a few more moments of silence go by before she asks, "Are you thinking about her?" Sorrel still has not turned to look at Briar, just continuing to stare out at the candles that offer two different paths. One to the city and all of the conflict and tension that reside there, the other to their home, which is no less treacherous but at least familiar. They finally say, "Yes." And the answer feels shocking in its simplicity given the length of time that they've been silent. Briar studies them, and she is still standing behind them, and that allows her expression to show the sadness that she's feeling as she asks, "Do you love her, Sorrel?" And this time Sorrel just nods, and Briar sighs. That always makes this type of situation harder. Then there's the clearing of someone's throat and a surprisingly gentle voice, the voice of Queen Orla, her red hair illuminated by the candle she holds in her hand, as she steps out of what looks like void in the townhouse behind her and out onto the balcony. And she says, "Sorrel, my dear, we're ready for you." Sorrel gazes out at the candlelit darkness beyond as they say, "Thank you, Mother. I'll be there in a moment." And Queen Orla of the Autumn Court steps forward and rests a hand on Sorrel's shoulder, and her eyes are filled with a nameless emotion as she gently squeezes and then steps back into the townhouse. Sorrel is still, almost unsettlingly so, before they roll their shoulders and stretch almost languidly, almost like a cat. And their expression changes, turning to what might be a smile, what might be a smirk, as they glance over their shoulder at Briar and say, "Well then, I suppose we should not keep Ambrosia waiting any longer." And with that, we're going to leave the Fey residence and whatever business is going on over there. And we are going to move over to Octavia. Octavia, where have you been residing?
Octavia's got want to say cute, but cute feels too happy. It's quaint. It's a little townhouse where she has kept most of her belongings. It is a nice little private away from the prying eyes of the Ton, where she can study and train and send some correspondence to and from without the watchful eyes of the old uncle. Uh, she has letters upon letters just strewn about her desk, and she is sitting and she is writing almost uh, obsessively before she throws another piece of paper onto the ground and grabs another one to spoon.
And Octavia, have you received any letters that you would care to share?
Octavia has not received any letters.
Octavia has received 2 letters.
Oh,
One
okay.
letter is one that you all received, and we'll get to that in a moment. The other is from your uncle. And it is that moment as you throw that piece of paper down that there is a tapping on the window.
I think that startles her. She doesn't keep herself too put together in the abode. Her hair is down and frazzled and way curlier than it usually is, and she's just wearing what she would consider to be her standard riding gear if she ever needed to take a horse and run. Um, so she just sort of will jolt over to the window.
The first thing you see is red, as a red cardinal sits on the ledge, and it is tapping almost frantically with its beak against the glass.
She will move slowly. She's leaving little ice trails behind her. Not enough to be full on anxiety, but just enough for nerve. And she will unlatch the window and throw it open.
The bird does not come in. Instead, it cocks its head at you. And in a voice you don't recognize, but in a voice, it says, "Your position has been compromised. You're no longer safe here."
She will calmly nod to the bird. Uh, I think she's very unsure whether whoever is doing this can hear her, and will just close the window, um, pick up a heavy, raggy cloak, throw it on, and will grab Everfrost, and is just gonna go mount a horse and leave.
So before you can even do that, Octavia, you are opening the door at the moment that one of the guards of the Winter Court stands in front of it. They are not acting aggressively. It appears, in fact, that they were likely just about to knock, since they have their hand raised and they lower it as you step out and do not reach for weapons or anything.
I would almost say that she bumps into him. She like full on throws the door open and is primed to just run. Uh, I don't I don't think that she falls over necessarily. She can catch herself with her ice, but she'll sort of straighten up and throw the hood of the cloak back, and will take on her sort of the demeanor she's used to putting on around the winter court now. Is there something I can help you with?
And the guard looks as apologetic as a guard for the winter court is going to look. Perhaps it is because he knows Helix. Perhaps there are other reasons, but he says, "My apologies, Lady Frostpin. Your uncle requests your presence."
When?
Now,
All right. Let me go put together something more presentable.
of course, and my apologies for startling you.
It's fine. It's a dark night. And she will full on close the door and go back up to her room. She's not going to run. She really wants to, but it is unwise for her currently to just ignore her uncle. So she gets
The
a basic
cardinal is
gown.
still there.
Oh,
It is watching you through the window.
I think she'll open the window again then if it's still there and just be like, am I going to die if I go with that man?
It is clear to you from what you understand of magic that this bird only had the message that was already delivered, so it just kind of tilts its head and almost shrugs.
What? I don't. What do you want? Do I need to give you a chip? You're welcome to come in. There's probably an almond loose somewhere.
It considers that, and then just hops off the ledge and flies onto a nearby tree.
Do you want me to follow you?
It just watches. It doesn't seem to be indicating follow. In fact, if you stare at it for a few moments, you get the sense that it's tracking the guard who is out front.
Tricky situation. I can't follow you right now, bird. I appreciate the warning, but I kinda have to do this. Um, can you relay a message back? No, probably not. I don't think that's how magic works. She'll leave the window open for the bird, but we'll put on a presentable enough gown and we'll pull her hair up, and she keeps Everfrost on her hip, but she puts the she throws the cloak down from the window and into the brush in the event she gets to come back here, and is going to store just like her basic desk set in a purse or some bag of some kind that she acquired in London. Because she doesn't have a lot of possessions to keep here except for books, and she can get more books. So she will return downstairs to the guard. I'm ready.
And I will say, Octavia, as you are walking downstairs, there's a moment where I think you almost slip right as you reach the door. And an envelope that had to have been there before, but you're pretty sure was not, is under your feet.
She'll sort of reach down and pick it up and open it.
And this, similarly to the one that the rest of you as well receive, is very short, very straightforward, very unadorned paper, and just has an address and then the words, "We need to talk." And it is signed Julius Shaw. And there is a time, about 2 hours from now.
I think she'll open the door and look at the guard and will ask, "How long is this going to take?"
And the guard looks a bit surprised just by the question and says, "I couldn't say, Lady Frostpin. That would be your uncle's discretion."
Okay. Shall we?
"I am ready if you are." And he will lead the way to a pair of horses.
She'll mount the horse and go with him.
And we're going to move away from Octavia as she heads for what was once the Connolly residence, now the residence of the Winter Court. We're going to move over to Abigail. Where has Abigail been staying, or where do we find her on this evening?
I think Abigail has an apartment. I think maybe the audience does not know where that apartment is. Maybe it's not even a real apartment, but it certainly looks like one. It is, I think, reminiscent of the house that she grew up in, but it is also very distinctive. Obviously, the Donatelli residence had a lot of artwork up, a lot of family portraits, a lot of portraits of Abigail's father, and that is not the case here. In fact, I don't think there are any portraits on the walls, although there are paintings and pieces of art. They are not of people. They are of landscapes and um, flowers and still lifes and things like that. Uh, yeah, it appears to be the apartment of somebody of means, but not royalty by any means.
And what is Abigail up to this evening?
Well, Abigail did receive a letter, so I think maybe she is looking over that and considering something. She is dressed fairly casually because she is in her own home, but I think she's maybe just like sort of reclining on the sofa and has the letter in one hand, a glass of wine in the other, and she is sipping on the wine as she rereads the letter.
And what does the letter say? Been so
Oh.
long since we got to share
It's
these
true.
illicit correspondences.
It's true. The letter was delivered as Win, a very familiar looking bird, landed on Abigail's window one afternoon, which maybe normal birds wouldn't be able to do, but Win is not. And it had a letter attached to his leg, sealed in deep green wax with the Carewood crest. And inside the letter, there is a golden brooch set with a fire opal, a black stone with crimson swirls that are reminiscent of fire. The writing is a familiar, whimsical cursive, and it reads, "Dear Abigail, welcome back to London. You were sorely missed during what should have been summer. Please accept this brooch as a welcome gift from one friend to another. I believe it suits your newly found fashion better than a fan would. Thank you for the lovely dance at the ball. I do hope the Winter Regents enjoyed the show we gave them. Your friend, Rhiannon Serena Carewood." And so I think she is toying with the brooch in her other hand.
And so I'm curious, Abigail. Have you spoken to your father at all since you returned to the city?
I don't think she has. I think she has been putting it off.
And so I am then curious, does Abigail have any mirrors in her apartment?
I mean, of course.
I figured, but I thought I should ask.
We have to make sure we're presentable before we go out.
And with where Abigail is reclining on the couch, where would be the closest mirror?
Probably on the wall, sort of catty corner to where her sofa is placed, near the door. Just a place to do a final check before leaving.
Abigail is so on point, and we absolutely love to see it.
She knows what she's about.
And so, with that, Abigail, the glass of that mirror begins to get foggy. Not in the way that glass fogs up, but in the way that smoke would obscure glass. And it isn't long before a familiar profile comes into view, and you see your father's face looking out at you.
And Abigail would sort of sigh and stand up and walk across the room to the mirror. Yes?
And your father, Abraham Donatelli, looks as chagrined as perhaps he ever does and says, I know I should have asked before appearing like this, but you have been hard to find.
It's a risky practice, Father. I could have had guests.
Yes, well, perhaps that was why I tried a few other mirrors first.
The other mirror is in the bedroom, which is even riskier.
And he just sighs and says this was not the reunion that I was hoping for, though it is the one I should have expected. How are
So,
you?
I'm well. It's been an interesting time to come back, especially.
Yes, your performance at the ball did not go unnoticed.
Good. No such thing as bad press when one is starting a new business.
I believe that is the opposite of what you said to me before, Abigail, when you expressed concern over how I was putting you in the crosshairs. You seem to be putting yourself in the crosshairs all on your own.
Nothing I can handle.
I hope that is true. Well, I will leave you to your evening, but a letter arrived for you today. And I wanted to make sure it reached you. And he extends his hand through the mirror.
Very normal.
Totally normal thing to do.
I take the letter. I don't think she starts to read it while he's still there, but I think she will take the letter and she will kind of give him a little nod of thanks. And then will say, she'll pause. And then she'll say, I know that we left things in an odd place.
That is one word for it, yes.
I want to tell you that everything is fine and forgiven and we can start over. But I think that is why I've kept my distance. Because I can't say those things.
Well, it might sound a bit ironic to you, Abigail, but I would rather you didn't lie to me. And so, if what you need is distance, I understand.
Thank you, Father.
You know how to find me
I
if you
remember.
need me. And if you need me, Abigail, it will not come with strings.
Abigail looks like she wants to say something to that. Like maybe she doesn't believe it entirely, but she doesn't verbalize that skepticism.
And it's clear he picks up on that, but he doesn't push. And simply says, have a good evening, Abigail. It truly is good to see you again.
You as well.
And the mirror once again goes smoky and then clears. And Abraham is gone. And you are left with the envelope that he handed to you.
Which says what?
It is almost identical to the one Octavia received. It has the same address that you do not immediately recognize. It says, we need to meet. It has a time closer to like an hour and a half away from now. But yours is signed by Damien.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool.
Why is everyone looking so skeptical and suspicious? I don't know what's going on. Everything's fine.
I'm not skeptical or suspicious. That's just going to be an awkward conversation. There's a time given?
There is. It is midnight.
It's midnight now, or that's when we're meeting?
That's when you're meeting.
Cool. Great. Okay. Well, it's like what is it now? 11:45.
Love, like 10:30. You have some time.
Great.
You have some time.
Okay, cool. Abigail will read the letter over and sigh, and then she'll get ready to go out, and she'll do it the old-fashioned way. She will, pick out her outfit, and I think it's similar to the one that she wore to the ball. She was very casual compared to everybody else at the ball, and she is still bringing that energy. So sort of still wearing like breeches, some kind of high-collared button-down vest over it. I think she will add the brooch that she was given by Rhiannon at her throat.
We absolutely love all of that. And so we will leave Abigail to her preparations. And I'm curious, what are love to in this fine evening?
Do I live with you yet?
So the house is ready.
Okay.
So if you wish, you are more than welcome. But if you'd like to wait until we are actually wed, that is also fine.
Astrid would not have moved in with Julius before they were married, just to make sure that that wedding was going to go off, and clearly we know what happened. So I think in the same vein, she, upon returning back to town, Astrid would be living with her parents until we are finally wed and united under God and everyone. So
Perfectly valid.
Astrid returning home has been so different. I would not say your family has been warm, but they have not been cold in the way that they were before. And you are, how close those relationships are is more up to you. Like, an olive branch has been extended, but it has also been made clear to you that it is up to you whether or not you take it.
yeah, Astrid would take the olive branches, but with trepidation, of course. She knows how the scars from the burns that her family left on her haven't fully healed, and they're still a little raw. And but they know that nothing is set in stone until the ring is on the finger and the marriage is secure, and Astrid can ride off into the sunset with somebody that she knows loves and cares deeply for her as much as she loves and cares deeply for them. And she's secure, at least for once, that with Dorian, this is it. The olive branches between her and her family work and serve a purpose for right now, but who knows how long they last once she's actually on with her life that she's always wanted and always needed. And it feels like Dorian has also needed that same treatment, that same love and care, that same partnership.
And your family seems to understand that. It is not something that is performative. It is very much, we are a family unit as much as you're comfortable being a part of us. And that coldness, that like complete detachment and disconnection is no longer there, but you are also allowed to come and go as you please. Your choices are very much being respected, and there is care being shown in not wanting to overstep those boundaries and give you that space, but not a demand for anything in return. I will say your family is scared about what is happening in London with the tension between the Fae courts. You can tell that with them all as mortals, they are afraid of being caught in the crossfire. And they don't know what to make of all of this.
I imagine that Astrid's not been very forthcoming about the magic and the, secrets of the forest and the hidden things that she's learned during her time um, with Rhiannon's family. Just because her family feels so much trepidation and fear around anything that is even potentially, containing the word magic, given everything going on in London. But I feel like, especially with her family's ties to the Infernal Church and their relationship still with the Seneschal and everything, that they trust that their they trust that their deities are going to protect them as best as possible. And Astrid's tried through the years to, you know, gently nudge them in the direction of self-worth and not relying so much, but we all know how parents can get, right? So I think that's kind of where she sits. Again, keeping enough face to like ease some of the tension in the home and, get everything done as quickly and smoothly as possible for the wedding so that we can all stop ignoring the elephant in the room and live a little bit more peacefully, but separately.
And certainly, to your point, the tension has made them cling even more tightly to those deities and to those sources of protection. And they have expressed concern for you, though accepted any reassurances you have offered about protections you are taking for yourself. They all do seem to like Dorian, and in fact, in a lot of ways, well, you didn't see much of their interactions with Dorian before. But these seem less strained, less tense, less antagonistic, as much as Dorian does come by.
And it's a relief, you know. They the the original engagement to the Seneschal was going to be so was going to lead to a lot of high powered connections and security for the Primer family that they kind of were banking on. And when that relationship fell apart, Astrid, I mean, again, that the tension, the disappointment, the anger in the air was palpable, but Astrid remembers those days where putting her foot down and realizing that she wasn't being married for love but for power didn't feel right. It didn't feel correct. It didn't feel like what marriage and love and partnerships are really meant to be for. And so, I mean, again, maybe the Lord and Lady Primer Esquire, whatever, are emeritus. I don't care. Have been putting on a happy face because of Dorian, because it's he doesn't seem to carry the same power the Seneschal has, but because I seem lighter, because Astrid, upon returning home, has been actually engaging with people more and wanting to be out in public and wanting to be among others and show her face more and be beside Dorian proudly. How can you hate someone that makes your child that happy? Or at least one would hope. But Astrid is beyond caring about what her parents think. You know, they're 26. They're so much older than everyone else that has gone through all of this shit. And again, it's time to settle. It's time to advocate for themselves. It's time to advocate for the future that lies ahead for them and Dorian. And that's all that matters. Bitches be damned.
And Astrid, I am curious, have you received any letters?
I have. I have received one letter. The letter actually caught Astrid as they were about to go out to look at a potential venue for the ceremony. A liveried servant from the Carrowood estate delivers the parcel along in a letter sealed with familiar deep green wax. The parcel contains pale blue silk gloves embroidered with gold thread and a pattern of vines. The letter is written in familiar whimsical cursive. My dear friend, how lovely it was to see you at the ball. You were missed, though I am glad you had such a lovely time in the countryside with my aunts. Please don't stress too much over that incident with the winter court. They have lingered in since you departed, and it was only a matter of time before they decided to posture. You should enjoy your engagement and upcoming wedding. I've included these gloves as a wedding present. I hope the pattern I sewed is to your taste. Congratulations again. You and Mr. Black seem so happy together. I look forward to celebrating your much-deserved joy. Your friend, Rhiannon. And upon opening the parcel, Astrid immediately brings the gloves up to kiss the fingers of the gloves, knowing that somewhere along the way, Rhiannon is receiving that transfer of love and affection through whatever magic that she weaved into that embroidery. And Astrid gently replaces the gloves in the package and puts them in her satchel so that they don't get damaged along the way throughout the day.
That is absolutely beautiful. And I think that makes the second letter that you have received
Bring it.
that much more unfortunate.
Bring it, JD. I'm ready.
And so your letter is the slightest bit different from not that much different. It again has the same address, but it then says, Astrid, I know you are not going to want to talk. I understand that. And if this weren't a matter of life and death, I would not be asking you. please meet me at midnight. I would encourage you to bring Dorian. I would encourage you to bring Mr. Black, if that makes you more comfortable, and because I'm also going to be requesting his presence. And it is signed Julius.
I would also like it on record that just like Jon Snipe, Julius is a bitch and had it coming.
Plot of episode 1, killing the Seneschal. Got it.
Sorry. We gotta make the LFT a cinematic universe. Yeah, so going back, Rhiannon's shoulders like droop. Not Rhiannon. Wow, I'm Astrid. Fuck, that really fucked me up. That letter fucked me up, JD. I'm not gonna lie. Astrid's shoulders droop. The excitement and joy that was coursing through her veins at seeing Rhiannon's very kind and sweet letter and gift, now shadowed by the bullshit her ex is delivering. But it's fine. It's fine. We do what we can. Astrid was on her way over to her betrothed anyway, before we hit up this venue. So, what perfect timing to be caught, to inform Dorian of our new meeting tonight at midnight. The choicest of hours.
And where do we find Dorian as Astrid finds him?
Dorian has just gotten back home. So he's had a busy day, seeing to his businesses and also looking at potential options for the food for the ceremony. Gathering a number of different options to bring to Astrid, be like, what do you think? And once that task was done, he went to his other work that has been the task going on behind the scenes for a little while. Fitz went full hermit, and so Dorian was doing his best to assist in what way he could, which was to be on the streets and start asking questions.
I am going to just ask you, Dorian, give me a volatile roll, just out of curiosity.
Sure. All right. We're starting off. All right. That is a 7.
Okay. And so, what I'm going to say with a 7, Dorian, is that information perhaps was not as directly easy to come by, but you heard some whispers. And more importantly, to you and the work that you are doing, you returned some creatures to the plane of existence that they should be on.
Good.
And removed them from this plane of existence.
Of course. Just trying to help people find their way back home.
What you did get, though, was concerning. It was not, as far as you could tell, anything involving Horatia de Villiers or Isaac Connolly. You're pretty sure, though the demons in question weren't particularly verbose in their responses to you.
Yeah.
But what stood out to you is that all of them were expressing that there is some sort of new player on the field. And the thing is, you know about Abraham Donatelli. You know about Father Ashley Donovan. As far as you know, there's no one else currently in the city, perhaps even on this plane, that rivals those two in power. But the demons were talking like there was. And they refused or couldn't say the name.
Interesting. Well, Grandma say we had a good night. Well, we had a decent night.
It was a good night. It was successful.
Partially. We're no closer to Horatia or Isaac, which is kind of important.
It is, but it is also easy for you to lose sight of the bigger picture if you are focused on them. They are fish in an ocean, and they are not the largest predator.
Right. Thing about smaller predators, though, if you don't pay attention, they strike, and you're left floating. I don't like floating. I like swimming.
That is a good metaphor.
Thank you. I've been working on that one.
Now, shouldn't you be making yourself presentable?
Oh, right. He will take off his long coat, the one that he uses when he's out and about on the town, and will start getting changed. It's not generally bloody work, but every now and then he's got to, get his hands a little dirty. So he is going to clean up before Ashford comes over.
And how does Dorian greet them when Astrid arrives?
I believe we had a brief talk about uh, doing the things ourselves. So when Astrid arrives, it's Dorian that opens the door.
Oh, hi.
Hi. Come in.
Thank you. Sorry, it's every time I see you, I just feel my heart jump through my chest as if it's the first time I laid eyes on you.
I would it be cheesy if I said I felt the same way?
No, it wouldn't be at all.
Good. Because there's I don't know, something about you these days. I am minding myself. but you are beautiful.
Thank you. I have some interesting news that I would like to broach with you first before we go about any of the other things we were meant to discuss this evening. I hope we have room to sit for just a moment. I'm so sorry that this is probably not going to be wonderful or great or.
Couches were the first thing I got. Call me dramatic, but flopping down in the house that you've bought was on my list of things to do.
We do deserve to have the finer things in life after the hell that we've both been through to this point. Create our own little piece of heaven.
And it is a very specific choice of words, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Come, I'll show you around.
Thank you. Will shaking his head.
So the decorations, the accoutrement for the house, not complete, certainly, but the bare bones show a lot of potential. Um, Definitely well appointed, but not, too gaudy. Definitely well crafted, and it all sort of goes together. It all goes together, but it's it's not over the top.
Of course. Doreen, I can't wait to make this ours. You've already done such a wonderful job of giving in your own touches here. It certainly is American in its tastes, though. I'm not going to lie.
Well, as it turns out, I am American, but
Yes.
I do look forward to your input in these things.
Yes. um, Astrid's mind immediately goes to the letter from the seneschal that lies in wait in their pack, and so they sink onto the couch slowly while grabbing the letter from its place. And then she looks up with you with her big, dark blue eyes and says, "We got a letter from Julius today. And I know that's not a name that I like to darken anyone's doorstep with, really, but especially yours." Um, she passes over the letter for you to read on your own. And she says, he's requesting our presence tonight at midnight.
JD, did I receive a letter?
You did.
Okay. That's important. It's very
You
important
did.
in this moment. So as he's reading yours, he's just sort of fishes into, his coat pocket. Mm-hmm. No worries. I have no problem going. If you don't want to, we don't have to. It's a request.
I don't necessarily want to. I would rather not. But what better way to show who's the more powerful one here than to stand in the face of someone who tried to use you and show them how much better off you are? Show them. Don't take this the wrong way, but show them what they're missing.
No, I would have used those words as well. I'm the lucky one in this situation. I don't know if that was clear.
You truly are.
How long do we have?
Yeah, JD, what time is it?
Right.
It's like 11.
Oh, we have about an hour.
Plenty you can do in an hour.
That
And
was genuine Amber reaction.
I saw the blue screen happen for a second.
And I think we're gonna fade to black on whatever is about to happen there. And we're going to move over back to Octavia,
No.
who has just arrived at the Connolly estate, now residence of the Winter Court. Everything is covered in a sheen of ice. The guards patrol endlessly in a way they never have before. And you are escorted directly to the room that you know Laszlo has been holding counsel in. What has essentially become the war room, though any plans are never out there in plain view when you are around. No guards answer your questions if you ask them what this is about. None demand that you remove your weapon as you approach either, though. And Laszlo is standing, his hand pressed against the table, as though he's looking at something, though you don't see anything there in front of him. And he waits until the doors are closed behind you to say, Octavia, what the actual fuck were you doing at the autumnal ball? And that is when where we're gonna go on break. Did not go live on that moment because that would have been perfect.
And now it's a moment reserved only for us and no one else.
It's our
Now
moment,
it's special,
JD.
It is. No, that is true. It is a moment we all shared.
So, Amber, real quick before we hop back in, are we going through with it? We're doing piano scene?
I think we're going with. I think we're going piano scene. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I can't believe we're.
I'm still a virgin, and that's all that matters.
Doesn't count.
I, Amber, am still a virgin too.
Delightful.
Same.
Yeah, I was going to say, the whole channel
Yeah, this is the virgin table.
Yep.
No, absolutely.
Correct.
Yep. Live from the abstinence. Is the name of this channel.
I can't. We could just skip the Laszlo scene. It's going to be hard to move from that to that. It's fine.
Is it?
No.
Okay. Checking.
I don't know why you're so worried, JT. All that happened was Laszlo said fuck, which, was a trend that Octavia started.
I don't know why we have to accredit that. I feel like fuck had been said prior to Octavia in the season by literally anyone else. By Q? Mr. Black said fuck last season? Confirmed?
I'm actually not sure.
Don't do this to me. I can't be the only person who said fuck on stream.
I might have said it to Astrid's father.
Yes. Actually, I think you did when you were proposing.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely did.
You did.
I told him I don't give a fuck.
There.
I don't give a fuck about you and anything, and you do.
See?
Yeah.
Not the only one.
Let's go.
And
Sorry.
that did happen before Octavia.
Just Octavia and the American.
No one else in London has said fuck. It's true.
She's not from London, to be fair.
From the Fae, which is like I think worse,
It's
probably.
basically America.
I'm from hell and I didn't say fuck.
It's probably because it doesn't hold as much weight for you.
I'm from hell and they didn't say fuck, I'm sorry.
I need that tattooed on my body.
Energy is coming back.
Incredible. We are definitely unhinged tonight. So we are going to jump back in with Octavia and Laszlo, who just said fuck, and is not happy with what you did at the ball.
It's a pleasure to see you too, Uncle.
Dispense with the niceties, Octavia.
Sorry, it's force of habit. What are you referring to? At the ball? There was just so much going on.
There was, and you were at the center of a large amount of it.
Well, I can't help if I'm being made to keep up appearances, Uncle. We have to show that we're at least amenable to the other court, do we not?
Did appearances mean joining together with a bunch of others for a dance that turned into a spectacle?
Well, the occasion was just so bright and we were already together. It was a very happy dance.
Yes, it certainly put a lot of eyes onto you and them.
Well, better they look on me that way than the way they have been, huh?
What do you mean by that?
I don't know if you've noticed, or if you care, Your Majesty, but this little occupation of yours is not being looked on too kindly. People are scared, and you can't have them scared, can you? It's a poor idea. I hate to say it, but I was only operating in your best interest that evening. Had I expected you would have showed up, I would have adjusted my plans, but something that large takes planning.
And so you thought to represent the Winter Court without talking first to me.
It was very sudden.
Sudden, but involved a lot of planning.
Yes, I had only just arrived that evening before we started. You would have seen me talking with the other court members prior to your arrival if you had shown up on time.
You know, Octavia, I would be a lot more inclined to believe you if you had not gone behind my back and made an alliance with the autumn and summer court.
Alliance is just such a strong word. We were merely meeting up to discuss the tensions in our various families. You are sitting on a throne that doesn't belong to you, after all. Hard for them to remain amicable to the situation if someone were not intervening.
And all of that explains why you will be a part of their union in combining their powers.
That was mere agreement to participate in a wedding. All of our powers require the same balance. And, of course, I'm not getting nothing out of it. Their friendship, my socialization into the court as we return. All of it prescient, Uncle. I'm not as dumb as you think I am.
And he looks at you, Octavia, and for the first time, you know he is seeing you. And he nods and says, I know you're not, Octavia. I am well aware of the capacity that you possess now and what that means. You would have done better to stay under the radar the way you had.
The longer that this goes on, Uncle, the more I'm sure I could not have done that.
Well, when war comes, Octavia, and it will come, just remember that you will know every single face that you are fighting.
And when it comes, and it does come, and it will, as you say, I hope you can stomach the thought of doing the wrong thing.
Octavia, this is a clear indication of how little you know and how naive you are. Because what you see as the wrong thing is what is needed for our court to survive. I misspoke. What is needed for my court to survive. You are no longer welcome in winter.
Bit of friendly advice, Uncle. When an asset stares you in the face and tells you I was only doing what's best for you, better probably to take them up on it.
Advice received. Will you escort yourself out, or will I need to do that for you?
No. No need to lift a finger. After all, why would you? Stay seated in your glass castle, and she will turn and walk.
And you are not stopped, Octavia. You are allowed to make your way out of the Connolly residence, though no one will look you in the eye. It is like there is essentially a scarlet letter on you that all of them who were maybe not friendly, but at least neutral during your entrance are now essentially turning their backs on you.
Her smile is all the wider for it. And before she heads to the seneschal, she will duck through a few back alleys, and she's going to put on a human glamour in an attempt to assuage any followers, if there were any.
So I'm curious. I think I know who likely, well, I can't say that. I was going to say, I think I know who doesn't arrive first, but out of the four of you, who arrives at the location on the letter the soonest?
Hold on, pause. Is it the same location on all the
It is.
letters? Okay.
Yep.
I mean, maybe Abigail.
I wasn't sure. I'm like, Abigail likes to make an entrance, but also her letter was signed as Damien.
Yeah, Abigail. Yeah, I think Abigail is not necessarily concerned about making an entrance in this instance. I think she does think that this is going to be just a conversation between her and Damien, which is one of the reasons why she's not concerned with making an entrance. But yeah, she'll show up first. I'm fine to say that.
And so when you arrive, Abigail, I think in different ways, all of you notice this based on your own respective supernatural experiences and through that lens. But something you realize immediately is essentially that where you are at is a pocket dimension, making it neutral ground in a way that nowhere else in the city is. And there is no particular attachment of any type of supernatural or mortal connected to it. It's clear that rather than being a place for a rendezvous, this is a place where there are not going to be aspersions of taking one side or another with the tensions that are brewing and building. And what is in that pocket dimension is like a large park. It has acres and acres of land. You can hear the trickle of water in a pond. You see trees lining the edges. But very quickly, you realize there are gravestones spread throughout. And that is a little bit strange because most cemeteries have a connection to one of the churches or a particular type of supernatural creature. This does not.
Interesting. Is Damien there?
He is. He is also alone when you see him. He is pretty clearly waiting for you. I think you see him before he sees you, and he's just kind of like pacing back and forth, hands in his pockets, seeming a bit nervous.
And I think in keeping with how she has been since she returned, Abigail was not interested in making an entrance at all because she's more interested in watching people these days, while they are not aware that they are being observed. So she spends a little bit of time studying Damien to try to see if she could maybe get a read on why he is so nervous, other than the fact that he's going to be talking to her, of course.
Of course. How long do you watch him, out of curiosity?
Long enough for it to be clear it's not going to be interesting.
And so it's right before you're ready to just step forward that you have a very clear indication of at least part of why he is so nervous. Because you see him pause, and there is the fence that extends around this area kind of blocks who he is talking to from you, but you hear him talking to someone and saying, I should have told her, shouldn't I? I should have mentioned what this was actually about.
And I think at that point, not being able to resist, Abigail would say, "Told me what?"
And Damien spins around, and he can't help but have his face light up when he sees you, though he composes himself pretty quickly and looks a bit guilty and says, I should have told you what this was actually about, and I didn't think about all of the misconceptions until after I had sent the letter. Hi.
Oh. And what is it you should have told me?
Well, that several of your friends are going to be here, and that Seneschal Julius Shaw is also here.
Oh, well, that makes it simple.
I'm sorry, Abigail, this was not the way I wanted our first conversation to go.
I understand. It's just business.
I hope that isn't all it has to be as things move forward.
Do I see Julius Shaw? Or rather,
As you,
do I see who Damien was talking to?
you see Julius Shaw. He's
Cool.
like trying to give the two of you some space, but like he's still close enough that you can see him.
She will incline her head to Julius. Seneschal, it's been a long time.
Abigail, I would say it was good to see you, but perhaps not under these circumstances.
What are these circumstances exactly?
I think it would be best to wait on that until the other three have arrived.
That is certainly one option. Or you could tell me what it is that you want.
And Julius, the circles under his eyes have deepened even since the ball. He looks so tired. And that is why he just says, what I want is for all of you to stop getting yourselves into trouble.
Can Octavia stroll in at that one?
Yes.
Yeah, she strolls in. She's in her human glamour. She built it while she was in her little house away from her uncle. Curly red hair, pale skin, freckles, the whole standard village girl deal. Uh, about that, getting into trouble.
Julius does a double take because he recognizes your voice but does not recognize your appearance.
Oh, right. She'll wave her hand and the glamour will sort of dissipate in snow. Apologies.
Yes, about trouble. You also seem to be at the center of it, Octavia.
Yes. Tonight especially.
What happened? Fine, I don't need to know. I probably need to know. I would rather not know. Why?
My uncle did not take too kindly to me making a show at the ball, and I have, as of now, been removed from my station. So, as long as, I suppose, as long as my alliances are still in place. I have not lost yet, but I'm no longer Lady Frostpin. Just Octavia will be fine.
My dear Octavia, don't worry about it. We'll get you your own court. Do you want that court?
That's the one I'm gunning for, yes.
We'll make it happen.
Julius just watches this and is like, what is happening, right? How are these the decisions you all keep making? Why?
None of us asked to be in the middle of this, Seneschal.
I did.
She did.
I very specifically did, yeah.
Your problems with the Winter Court would have come to pass regardless, is my point. Perhaps instead of thinking of how you would prefer we not be in the middle of all of this, you instead focus on the fact that you have such capable allies in the mix.
What is your goal, Abigail?
I am simply here to help my friends.
I think that is a perfect moment for Astrid and Dorian to arrive in the midst of this scene.
Sorry for being a little late. Got held up.
Wedding plans, you know? It just. Octavia?
Octavia? Sorry. Lady Frostpin?
No, not anymore. Mr. Black, Lady Primer?
Was anybody else here piano?
You know, I
No.
was just thinking of a tune.
Must be my imagination.
Quiet. Miss Donatelli?
Mr. Black?
Mm.
Lady Primer.
All Amber, can think of is Rocky. Like,
Amazing. So,
Sorry.
Seneschal, why have you gathered us here today? Tonight.
Well, as I was explaining to Donatelli and Octavia, the four of you garnered quite a bit of attention at the autumnal ball with dancing and magic and trees and running into the room with your sword unsheathed and riding on one of the steeds of the autumn court. With their arrival, you did honestly an incredible amount that evening that I'm still having a hard time wrapping my head around. And it painted a target on each and every one of you.
Is this your first season?
Let's face it, Seneschal. Everyone was already obsessed with us before the Winter Ball.
True.
I don't know if that's accurate.
Speak for yourself, Abigail. Sorry. That's untoward of me.
You both underestimated yourselves.
Correct. So you say we're being targeted.
It is my role to keep the balance and to keep the peace. And that is not why I'm here. I am here because I am concerned about each and every one of you. And I feel a level of responsibility for this. At least in the case of you, Miss Donatelli, and you, Octavia. As I enlisted your help. And I feel like that jump-started things I should have been able to predict and somehow didn't. Yes, Mr. Black?
2 questions. First, are you a fortune teller? Are you an oracle of any sort?
Of a sort. Yes.
Good to know. 2, why are you making this about you?
Mr. Black.
No, hear me out. Clearly, there's lots of tension, lots of things going awry right now. So rather than having a blame fest about who's at fault for who's in the spotlight or not, how about you use the people, work with the people that are around you, and start solving the issues that you have in your city?
Dorian's right. We can't keep assigning blame to each other and making things more tenuous and stressful than they already are. I mean, last season was an absolute nightmare. And if we are to all be stuck together in this town, contending with one another, we can't be suspicious. And we can't be fighting one against each other's interests because ultimately our interests are each other's. So, Julius, I would like for you to get to the point, please. I think we've all had enough of you dallying around.
Is that how all of you feel?
I do so enjoy listening to you, Dally.
I just didn't want to pipe up. I fear I've put enough bags under your eyes for the entire rest of your life.
The blame thing is you too. Get it out.
I'm not blaming myself for anything. Have I been a stressor in the Seneschal's life? Absolutely. Am I directly responsible for most of the tension between the courts right now? Maybe a little bit. That's not a blame thing. That's just the fact of the matter.
No, I think most of the tension came from the fact that your former court, apologies by the way, decided that they wanted to be big for the britches.
Yes, that is.
So
I see where you're coming from. But Seneschal, if you could.
Very well. I am actually here to be asking you to continue to put yourself in harm's way the way you apparently are determined to, so perhaps this will not be as big an ask of you as I'm afraid it is. You are right. The tension is within the Fey courts, but it is spilling over. And you, Octavia, well, I suppose you have now joined Ambrosia in being one of the unaligned members of the Fey courts, or not of the Fey courts as the case is. You, Abigail, we have already spoken before of the relations and connections that you keep. I trust that has not changed.
It has not diminished.
Astrid, I do regret that you are being included in this, and you have every right to step away, but your time away has changed you. And I think that whatever has happened, and I'm not enough of an oracle to Mr. Black's point to know exactly what that was. I think that means that the company you keep may also have a vested interest in ensuring that war does not come to this city. If that would be fair to say.
I can't say much, but I would be inclined to agree.
Understood. And Mr. Black, you have become very interesting.
Was I born before?
You don't need to sell him on anything, Seneschal. Dorian is all about saving these days. I'm sure he'd be happy to do it from the kindness of his heart.
Not quite.
I realized that I was about to propose something, but I didn't ask the most important question first. Do any of you want war to come to the city of London?
No.
It's complicated.
Miss Frostpan. Now, I did see you stride out with the sword, so it does look like you're ready to jump. But
That was a simple misunderstanding.
oh, was it?
I was approached by a member of the Winter Court, who I am not particularly fond of at the moment, during the ball while I was taking a breather, and they so aptly warned me that something was about to happen with absolutely no pretext or context. So I made the best assumption that I could and drew my weapon in preparation for something perhaps warlike to occur.
Ah. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. I get I get the methodology.
As to the point of the seneschal's question, I don't want war to happen. If I could relieve my uncle of his duties without starting a war, I would. It would be my first choice. However, on the evening that I spoke with Sovereign Micah regarding our alliance and their backing my claim to the throne, I was presented with a vision of an all out war.
I think there is a marked difference between the concept of war and an uprising. Wars are selfish and clumsy and devastating, but very good for business. But an uprising is the cry of the unheard. I don't wish for war, Seneschal.
But you do wish for change.
I don't have any intention of suffering tyrants. If I wanted to do that, I would be a lady.
And just so we are being perfectly clear, Abigail, who do you see as the tyrant in question?
Today?
That is all we can speak of, is it not?
As you wish. Today, I think that there is a man holding a court that is not his, from a house he has no business being inside of, making decisions about people I care about that are not his to make. And I would very much like him to stop.
And it would seem possible, at least, that our interests are aligned.
I have one question. Why is Damien here?
I'll answer that in a moment, Abigail, but for that, I would just want to ask Miss Primer. Is all-out war something you want?
I'd rather keep the peace.
Well,
But,
then,
well, I'm not done, Julius. You'll speak when I'm finished. If all out war is the only option, then that's a reality we're going to have to come to accept when it comes to it. But I would prefer to keep the peace. if possible. Now, you may speak.
You have changed, Miss Primer.
When you fought a war of your own internally for over a year, you learned to pick your battles. But you also learn how to win them as well. You learn how to fight them so that you're not left defenseless, naked and cold and wanting. I hope you understand.
I do. And perhaps, Astrid, you will then be relieved to hear the answer to Abigail's question. Damien is here because he is the new seneschal. And I will be leaving this city.
Buried the lead there a bit, didn't you?
I have to agree with Mr. Black, Seneschal. That's a bit drastic, isn't it?
I'm not surprised that this is the way you're going about revealing this information at all, Julius. Considering how much you hid from me. Of course you have to make that big ordeal, don't you?
Um,
Sorry. That's unbecoming of me.
so I think there's a hand on Astrid's, not to stop them. In one of those, like, I'm here, I got you.
I think Octavia's looked to Abigail at this point because Octavia's got no idea what's going on between these two. What is this? Do they know each other?
Yes.
Where you been, baby?
Though
Where you been, homie?
the degree to which they know each other is unclear.
Okay. Thank you.
And you see Julius pause for that long moment where he starts to say something and then stops himself and then starts again and then stops and just simply says, "You're right, Astrid. There is nothing I can say to that except that you are right."
Where is it you will be going?
I will be returning to my home. Guarding the gates of hell.
Well,
I almost said that.
Yes, that would have been a bit on the nose, Mr. Black.
Well,
I'm sure we'll bump into each other then.
I have no doubt we will, Abigail.
I hope that is more restful for you. You look awful.
Your concern is certainly appreciated, Mr. Black.
And I think actually, for like half a second, one of his hands reaches out. Um, Not the right, because he's not going to shake, but it's definitely one of those like instinctive go hand to forehead, and then he pulls back. Sorry.
Astrid, with the hand you're holding, with her hand that you're holding, squeezes it the way you did earlier.
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
No, he inspires many emotions in quite a few people.
Seneschal, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that I appreciate your putting up with me. I know that I specifically have been a handful this season. I hope you're happier.
Octavia, you and Abigail did a tremendous service bringing in Horatia. I know it did not last, which was another thing that I should have seen coming, and I didn't. And I didn't stop it. And we are not doing the blame game. Yes, I know, Mr. Black. But that is why I am stepping away. And I will be sad to go. But it is what is needed at this time. And I will regret the choices that I made. And he looks at Astrid. But
I hope your new friend treats you well. Sorry to go on.
I am truly happy for you, Astrid. I know that you may not believe that, but I am.
Astrid's fingers, long, elegant, pointed, lace in between Dorian's tightly. Less of a show of less to show off Dorian, but more to affirm to him that she's choosing him. Continues to choose him, Dorian, every day. But thank you, Julius.
So, Damien, do you have something for us? Or was this just an introduction?
And Damien looks at Julius, who just nods and steps back, like clearly removing himself from this conversation. And Damien looks at the four of you and asks, how do you all feel about a little espionage?
Like you have to ask.
What she said.
Sounds like fun.
I've never tried, but as the kids say, I'm in a new era.
Do they say that? That's real? They say that? What does
I
that
don't know.
mean?
Yes, they do.
I need to get out more.
One could even say that Lady Primer is on a tour, an Eras tour.
Oh my god, hold on. What's the line from Reputation? Shit.
Oh, she can't come to the phone right now. Why?
Why?
She's
Because
dead.
Ash is dead.
Well, since it seems like we are all agreed here, I mean, we identified at least all being on the side of wanting to take down a tyrant, so best way to do that is from the inside. And I think that the four of you are the perfect ones for this.
I don't know if you heard earlier, but I'm not exactly welcome in the Winter Court anymore.
Oh, I know, Octavia.
Okay.
But I
That's
could
why
be.
you're perfect. Abigail?
Spent a long time studying your uncle at the ball. He wants things. I could provide those things.
I don't know if my uncle's exactly the type to make deals with, you know.
Hmm.
You'd be surprised how many people, when they express that they want the forbidden fruit, reach for it when it's placed in front of them.
I know better than to doubt your abilities, Miss Donatelli.
My father won't do business with him, I can see to that. Which means there's only one other game in town.
Maybe not. Word on the street is there's another. Unless that's you.
What do you mean?
I've been having some chats. And well, know about your father and Father Asher Donovan. But he'll tell there's another player on the board. So, unless that happens to be you, there's someone else we need to keep an eye out on.
Is that me, JD? It sounds like me.
It is not you.
Okay.
Actually, I think. Why don't we do a gaze into the abyss roll?
Why
Not too
don't we
bad.
do a gaze into the abyss? I would love to.
I would love that for you.
I would love to do that. I have a thing. Okay. Double sixes.
Yes!
Oh, yeah.
Let's
13
go.
in this.
Shit.
Let's
Okay.
fucking go.
Absolutely. Let's go.
Also, just to note it, I have a move called Abyssborn, where if I get a 10 on a roll to gaze into the abyss about a desire I can procure, I can take 2 forward instead of 1 forward.
Okay. Okay. What does it look like, Abigail, when you gaze into the abyss now?
I think in this particular case, I like to imagine that there is sort of the equivalent of graffiti tags in like a devil's territory. And so I think she is kind of quickly I think she is maybe seeing London as it stands currently, but not with like the people, kind of like an overhead view. And so she's visualizing London as it's laid out and seeing her father's territory, which is obviously very large, seeing her territory, which is much smaller but growing, and looking for a third territory.
And with that, Abigail, some of the things that you notice as you are gazing down at London are not surprising. You know that Father Ashley Donovan and your father do plenty of business together, and you know, of course, that Father Donovan is also tied into the Infernal Church. So initially, as you're looking, the tags connected to him are the first ones that jump out. And I'm going to say that, well, you were on your little sabbatical. If your father had not told you before, which I think is about a 50-50, you are aware as you're looking at the sigils connected to Father Ashley Donovan that he is the demon Asmodeus.
Mhm.
And his territory very much overlaps some with your father's and then stretches out a little bit, but not in a way to you that would suggest anything has changed dramatically in terms of the power that Father Ashley Donovan wields. What is strange is it takes you a while to find this other impression because these other pieces are large territories. You're searching through and essentially finding a sigil here and there, but not in any sort of pattern you can identify. But they are insidious. They are burrowing into other parts of the city that, if not, none that would connect with your father or Father Ashley Donovan, but like places other powerful supernatural beings have control over. And you recognize the sigil. It's the sigil of Azazel. And as you are looking at it, you start to see the larger picture. You start to see the puppet strings connecting those different marks together. And you see how they connect exactly to the figure you saw at the ball, who now holds Carmen's strings.
Hmm. How interesting.
So it's
Will it
not.
be? I'm sorry.
So it's not you.
It's nothing to be concerned about. We have mutual friends.
Do we now?
They and I do. I'll speak with them. I'm sure they will see reason.
Gonna look over at Damien and then back at Abigail. Is this friend responsible for recent changes to another mutual friend of ours?
Well, I can't keep track of everybody that you consider a friend, Dorian, but yes, I think so.
Great. Just perfect.
And Damien, who has caught that look, looks to Dorian and says, Mr. Black, which friend would you be referring to?
Hard to say. I have so many friends.
There's no need for Mr. Black or anybody else to get their feathers ruffled. The situation will be handled.
Abigail, what aren't you telling me?
Well, where to start, Damien? But if we were going to get into all of that, we would need to have a conversation. And this is just business.
Right? It's just business.
Are you sure? Because that sounds like a whole lot of not just business.
Did
Well,
not miss these vagaries while we were away.
I mean, I could be direct, but I've been told that my American nature is grating on the senses. So I'm trying to use some tact and civility in this moment.
Hold on. I might have a move for this, actually.
Just a moment.
There's
sure
an app
hope so.
for that.
I think I have a bit for this.
I have. Thank God I changed playbooks, right? I have enchanting lore. You can magically persuade others to do almost anything as long as they think it will benefit them. The spell is broken when they get what they want or think they'll never get it. So, I guess before I even do this, JD, I would like to do like a figure out a person type roll to
that
see if I can like read between the lines of what Damien's trying to get at.
that is definitely fair. I'm gonna actually give you that for free. I think
Okay.
you've got enough contextual pieces that you don't know much about Damien. Obviously, he was dead for quite a while. Well, I guess like a little over a year. But because of that, you are pretty sure that the only person he would be worried about or care about is his brother, Carmen. So whatever this not conversation that's happening is, that's definitely a piece of it. And I think it's also fair to say the tension between him and Abigail is thick enough to cut with a knife. So, like, that is not being hidden at all.
Now, Damien, I think you should tell us exactly what you want, what you're trying to get us to do and agree to. And Astrid's free hand just kind of like, it looks like she's just kind of like stimming or like idly doing like an emotion the way people did during this time. Um, so, but she's kind of, she spent so much time out in the woods, like becoming attuned with the magic of nature and the magic of like the actual world around her. So she's feeling out like the tendrils of magic that exist just purely in the air. And as she's saying this, she goes, Damien, sweetie, why don't you just go ahead and be a little bit more forthcoming about your real intentions? Maybe it'll help you get some clarity.
I would love for you to make a roll, Amber.
There's actually no role for that,
Okay.
JD. I just fucking
Incredible.
do it.
Incredible. Damien just starts talking and cannot stop the flow of words. And he says, what I'm asking you to do is to help disrupt and dismantle the Winter Court from the inside so that that threat is no longer on the board and so that actual balance can be restored because it hasn't been able to be restored. But I'm also very concerned about my brother. Something has changed with him and I don't know what it is. And I want to be able to help him. I need to be able to help him, but that is not my duty. I don't know if I'm even allowed to focus on that, but that is necessary and needed, and I'm pretty sure I'm responsible in some way for it. And I want to talk to Abigail, and I want to understand things between the two of us because I have missed her so much. And there was not a day after I returned the first time that I did not think of her.
Astrid cuts eyes at Abigail, like,
So you missed her. Interesting.
don't you feel better letting all of that off of your chest? I'm sure it was festering inside, my dear Damien. My dear sweet seneschal.
It sounds strange when you say that.
Get used to it. It is your title now, after all.
I know it is. And he is not making eye contact with any of you. He is just staring at the ground.
Right, so to the point of business, because I have no idea what just happened, and I don't know if I want to know, how exactly do you expect us to dismantle the Winter Court from the inside?
Well, to be frank, Octavia, that was in large part where you came in. As Abigail pointed out, no one knows the Winter Court like you do, and you already have alliances with some of the other courts. You are the perfect person to be pulling on those strings, or showing the others how to do so.
I couldn't even guilt my caretaker into siding with me.
Octavia, you were what? Fourth in line? Before you were cast out.
Actually, question for JD then. Does my being removed from the court disqualify me from ascending to the throne?
In this exact moment, it does, but it doesn't have to.
We can fix that.
I think I would be, yes, if I were still instated. But there are extenuating circumstances that can make that so, I think.
Well, That's certainly one option.
Right. 3 regicides.
I mean, Conley's already took care of one, right? So
Yeah. We just go find Isaac and have him kill the remainder.
Well,
no,
Laszlo,
certainly not.
your uncle is a lot to lose currently. He is clearly seeing his position as somewhat tenuous if he's willing to cast you out.
That does remind me. When he was in the process of kicking me out, he did sound extremely concerned that Fall and Summer might be united in marriage.
We can feed on that paranoia, that fear, stoke it like a fire until his kingdom of ice melts around him.
And I think that is the perfect moment to bring this first episode of Table 1 of a second season of
Heck.
Secrets and Shadows
No.
to a close.
Heck.
No.
Hey,
Big
come on,
spice.
JD.
Heck,
Go
Big
for a little
spice.
longer.
I would say let's go longer if Will and I didn't have to be up early for Run Fair tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sure.
there's that. There's
Well,
that.
that's
I mean,
right.
I
You guys are. Well, QJD and I can stay.
Yeah, exactly. You guys can keep playing. We'll just
Yeah.
Abigail and Astrid will go off and do just gal pal
Lesbian.
things.
Gal
Yeah.
bestie stuff.
Wait, hold
Right.
on. Wait a minute.
It's crazy how we said the same thing.
You guys are finishing
Interesting.
each other's sentences. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Right.
It's nuts.
History will say they were roommates. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Just two people, just two hot ladies who are all about making other people's dreams come true. Like that's
Oh my
that's,
god, they were
yeah.
Two gal
Oh my
pals
God.
helping each
Two
other
gal pals.
stretch, granting
About-
wishes.
About that.
JD, I just realized I need to DM you about something else, and I don't know why I'm saying this on camera.
It's
I
fine.
think that
I understand the need for
11 p.m. delirium.
accountability. Yeah. And with that, Amber, I think it's time for outros. So I'm going to have you do yours first.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Amber, also known as the Space Jamber. I am a 3-time Emmy-nominated TTRPG writer, editor, podcaster, and streamer. You can find me anywhere there's internet at the Space Jamber. I am making my comeback into the community slowly but surely, following a cancer scare this summer, which was great. So you can find me actually pretty much here for the next little while. Every other Friday here. And heck, on Wednesdays over on Pluto Cleric's channel, we just started our brand new Girl by Moonlight series called Life in a Tower, where I am playing a grad student who's really done with everyone's shit, but is also kind of like the senior member of like our Sailor Scout group. So I don't know. We're only in episode 1. I don't know what the fuck's happening. So come hang out with us Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern on Pluto Cleric's channel. And I'll pass the mic over to whoever.
To
It's
Will.
me, yeah. Hello, hi, I'm still Will. I'm one of the storytellers here live from the apocalypse. I run a bunch of things, notably Class Reunion, which happened this past Tuesday. It's a 5e homebrew about a group of high school students from Ohio who have been trapped in a fantasy world for 10 years. It's very silly, it's very fun, it's very gay, shockingly. Didn't expect that when we started the game, but here we are. Also, Academy H, our Masked Actual Play podcast, which I run and edit into the podcast form. We record it live every other Sunday normally, except October is a hell month, which means that we will be recording it this coming Wednesday, the 18th. That'll be our only October recording session, and we might end season 1 with that session, but probably not. That'll probably happen in November, but check it out. We're coming very close to finishing season 1, which is very exciting and cool. A new episode should be out on Sunday. We'll see. That really depends on if I can get it done in the next couple of days. But yeah, there are 26, I think, episodes out there for you to enjoy. Also, we've been nominated for an Audioverse Award, which you can't help us win. It's a closed jury voting, but it's very cool still. So I don't know, tell your friends, I guess. And then there's another Academy Age thing that's going to be starting up in November that's very exciting, but not ready to talk about that yet. So I think that's everything. Cold Iron this Tuesday, I think, our Russian changeling Soviet game where I play a regular mechanic. That's what I got going on.
Yeah, sure,
I'm barely on social media, so whatever.
Yeah, you're the normal one of us in that game.
I am.
All right, JT.
Not true.
Yes, hello. My name is JT. You can find me all over the internet at WeebJeet, Discord, Twitter, Blue Sky, whatever. Take your pick. I'm probably there. I've got a number of things coming up. On Sunday the 15th on the Lost Caravan, I will be running a second session, a prequel session of the Masks game I ran last month. It is just called issue number 1 because the last one was called issue number 42. JD will be joining us there as a fun new player, and hopefully they let me continue to do something with it because I have a lot of ideas. On Tuesdays, you can find me on Neon Lights Roleplay for the remainder of the month every Tuesday, playing Lancer. I am playing a little guy NHP named Orpheus, piloting the mech now called the Wait For Me, for those of you who are musically inclined.
We respect that.
On Wednesday the 18th and every other Wednesday from then on, I am on High Shelf Collective running the Beacons of Farlight, a campaign of my own design using the Beacon system by Pirate Gonzalez Games. And on the 21st, on Saturday, you can find me over on Dexara's channel playing the last session of our Star Wars charity game, which we are doing for Extra Life. And then in November, I have helped run and set up a charity week for the Lost Caravan called Recall Week. It is looking to be very fun. A lot of people are bringing a lot of really fun characters back to play in new systems and new games. It's going to be a lot of fun, and there will be raffles and giveaways. So come check us out during the week of the 6th through the 12th and donate to win some prizes, maybe?
I would like to see the baby. Oh, they've gone far.
Hold on.
He has gone far.
Hold on, I'll go get him. Hold on.
Yes. And meanwhile, hi, I'm Q. Just the internet's gayest bear, I guess. I don't know. I'm gonna find a thing. You can find me on most social media. Oh boy,
Hold on 1 sec. We gotta. Yes.
He's the lad has requested. This is Tater Tot.
So
Pet
sleepy.
alert, pet alert.
So
the
sleepy.
tatery is hot. Love.
Sorry, Q.
It's all good. No, worth it. Absolutely worth it. So me. Hello, I'm Q. You can find me here. A lot of times I'm here for Redacted. I've got a little guest spot on Class Reunion. It was Ohioan and gay, so like I had to do the thing. It was required. Having a great time. Podcast, Code Switch Naturally podcast. You should go watch old episodes while we figure out what life is. It's been a time. We might have a short season of the podcast this go round. It's been a lot going on. Tales from the Table Studios. I am part of the production team. I have been slacking, but I'm doing better, I promise. We've got some things coming up, hopefully soon. By hopefully, not this Saturday, next Saturday, we have something starting up. I'm not going to tell you what it is, though, because I still have to work out the promo stuff. But yeah, that's me. And I got other stuff coming down the pipeline. There's something about Bluebeard.
Yeah, that is happening in like 2 weeks.
The 23rd, Monday, October 23rd. Bluebeard's wife. The best way I've been able to describe it is it's Inside Out, but like make it piratey, I think. And a little bit horror. That's the best that my brain is really locked onto it, so it's fine. Yeah, that's it.
I'm in.
I'm also in that. Thanks for reminding me, Q. I
You're
totally
so
forgot
welcome.
about it.
I haven't forgotten. I just haven't been able to like really define how to describe
Right.
it.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, the game's super fucked up just in general, and then to like describe and make it sound fun to people
Right.
when actually it's the most fun. So
I'm excited to see that. The cast is amazing.
You still have to do the thing.
Of course I do. It's fine. I don't have as many things to list, mostly because I'm only going to list the immediately happening ones. So, hi, I am still JD. I am one of the storytellers and players with Live from the Apocalypse. I am here most often. However, tomorrow I will be with Exquisite Corpse Presents for Sister Cities, our non-magical D&D campaign, where I play a bard block who has no idea what he's doing and has been dead. It's fine. Everything's good. On Sunday, as JT said, I will be joining them for Masks with the Lost Caravan, and I will be playing Phosphorus, who uses the Delinquent playbook and is basically doing superhero work as community service because he caused too many problems on purpose. I am then also found in Cold Iron and Class Reunion on every other Tuesday. I'll be here for Academy H, and I will be running Redacted, our psychological horror game, which Q and other amazing people are in. And we will see how many more secrets are revealed on this island. And then I'll be back here for Table 2 of a season of Secrets and Shadows. See what that table does, and I am afraid. But it's fine. And I do one too many other things that we do not need to list, because I'll have a chance to list them next week.
Just counting. I'm just counting. There's
Just
so
counting.
many things.
You know what? I didn't list Nova. I didn't list.
I didn't
Yeah.
list Nova
The way-
either, to be fair, to be honest.
It's fine.
the way that was my life up until about like May, and then I said, I'm going crazy. I'm literally going crazy.
Preach, honestly.
Yeah.
God.
Tell it.
It's a lot. It's
Yeah, no, it is a
So
lot.
much.
This
I'm
month
doing
was
a
supposed to
number
be
of
like every
things.
day. But
Why?
it is not. So you know what? I have slept a normal amount, and I'm saying that on air, so all of you know that. And speaking of sleep, I think it is time for us to say goodnight.
I think that's probably true. Hey, if you're not following us on social media, you can do that. We're on places. Or you can join the Discord community, which is a great place full of great people, and we would love to have you be a part of it. Thank you so much to everybody who hung out tonight. If you donated, watched, etc., thank you. We're going to disappear in just a second, but don't go away. We're going to hop over and actually raid High Shelf Collective, who got mentioned a couple times earlier. So we're going to pop over there, say hi, be friendly, tell them we sent you. But I think that's going to be it for us. So say goodnight, everybody.
Good night,
Good night,
everybody.
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 Good night.